Hello, everyone. Welcome to Christopher's Entertainment Blog. I am Chris. Welcome to my review and recap for Arrow Season 4, Episode 15, entitled Taken. And it is appropriately entitled Taken because in this episode, we found out that Damien Dark has kidnapped Oliver's son, William, and is holding him ransom. So Oliver is forced to reveal to the whole gang that he has a son, and it creates a rift between Oliver and Felicity. They end up breaking up at the end. There's a lot of stuff going on in this episode. Oliver is forced to leave the campaign, give up the campaign because Damien Dark has his son. He's forced to give up the campaign and endorse Ruve Adams, which you can see he was like biting his lip the whole time. He really didn't want to do that, but for his son, he will definitely do that. And I really liked this episode. I liked it a lot. I thought for me it was kind of a mixed. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought at one moment I thought, man, this might be the best episode of the season, my favorite of the season. And then at other moments, I was like, man, this episode's nah, it's kind of meh or okay. The positives that I really enjoyed are the fight scenes and the stunts in this. Again, I think Arrow does an amazing job with their fight scenes usually, and the stunt team I think does a fantastic job. There was one moment that I remember where Speedy, Thea, and Canary were on a motorcycle, and Thea bends backwards and shoots some arrows into some of the henchmen for Damien Dark. I thought was fantastic. And there was the other fight scenes going on with Damien Dark, the punching, the kicking was very well done. I really enjoyed that. The most positive in this episode that I really enjoyed was the stuff with this new character Vixen. Now, for me personally, I've never actually seen or watched. I've never watched the animated feature, and I knew she was an animated character, and I knew they did that, but I just never had enough time to really get around to watch it. I might go back and watch it now because I found out it's like really short. The first season's really short. It only takes about like a half hour, 45 minutes or whatever to watch the whole season. I thought it was really interesting. This whole character, I really liked the little the little quotes that he had about how he knew Vixen and that she and him had a animated connection or whatever he said. We had an animated get together or something uh, before, so I thought that was funny. Um, I really liked that connection that they had there. I thought Vixen herself was great. Her suit was great. The yellow and the black I thought was amazing. I like how she had this magic and it showed like a monk, like a gorilla and a tiger jumping out. The magic was great. Damien Dark I think is fantastic. Neil McDonough again is an amazing actor, and that whole thing at the beginning when he steps out of the dark and he has those one-liners about sorry about the limo. Wow, nice chair. The very funny stuff, and the fight scenes with him were really good. I really enjoyed it. I like how he's like force choking everybody and throwing him across the room and everything. Very cool. So the Damien Dark stuff was awesome. I love the fact that they found out that we finally know how to beat Damien Dark now. They finally found out that he's got these totems, and they ended up busting the totem, and it like well, he lost his powers. My guess is he's probably got more totems or something stashed away somewhere, because he had that one that was in that cabinet. So there's got to be something more there where he gets his power. He's probably got them everywhere. So that's going to be interesting. Like what more comes into these idols or whatever these totems to see what more they have to do with this story. It's very interesting. I think there's something going on with there with the magic and and the flashbacks as well. I think I'll get into that in a little bit. The other positive for me was Oliver's heartfelt scene at the end. I thought was an excellent scene, and it showed how heartfelt and heartbroken Oliver is to give up his son like that for the greater good. That he's going to let his son have a childhood. I mean, he's going to do the right thing because his way of life is way too dangerous. The fighting crime, people are this shows people are always going to exploit his family, the people that he loves, to get to him. So his son, Uh, the mother, I think her name was Vanessa, I think. So there's always, I mean, he's had other people get exploited, like his mother and his sister. I mean, they've always been exploited by enemies or whatever to get to Oliver. So he knows this is the right thing to let them go, unfortunately. And I think I'm going to go out on him and I'm going to say I think that storyline's done. I really do. They've been playing with that storyline for a while since what season 2. I think that whole storyline is over, and we can move on from there. But it was a great scene, and I thought was excellent. The stuff with Thea and Merlin throughout this episode I thought was really good. That you've seen the intensities, but finally at the end, I mean, Merlin actually lied to Thea's face. He told her that he had nothing to do with him kidnapping William and telling Damien Dark that it was Oliver's kid and all this. He lied to Thea point blank to her face. And you see Merlin, he says, if it wouldn't be for me, you'd be dead. You'd be dead a long time ago. And that might be foreshadowing that something might happen to Thea now. I mean, maybe now Merlin has say, okay, I'm done with this. I'm leaving, and maybe he's not going to be there to protect her now, and maybe something will happen to her. Maybe she is the one in the grave. Maybe this is foreshadowing something. Who knows? But I thought those scenes were really well done, and that confrontation back and forth was very cool. I really enjoyed it. Another positive for me was the reference to Constantine. They willingly put Constantine back in our minds. Constantine is in hell. I was like, wow, that's great. And he says, no, he's literally in hell. So I really like the fact that they're keeping Constantine in everyone's mind, which has me hope that maybe he'll come back for another episode, hopefully, or maybe even be on a show permanently, like Legends of Tomorrow or one of the other shows or whatever permanently. But that's the same way I feel for Vixen. I think she was a fantastic character. That would be great if she became part of Team Arrow or even had her own show, a spinoff show. Why not? I would love to see a Vixen spinoff show with her in Detroit fighting crime. She's got magic. She can do a lot of cool stuff. She can fly, for crying out loud. She can change into all these different animals. It's like a spirit animals. I mean, she's got lion, tiger, gorilla, like hawk or eagle or bird or whatever. I mean, it's just like that's insane. I mean, she can turn into all these different animals. She's got all this different strength. She's an awesome, awesome superhero. So I think Vixen could have her own TV show, and I think Constantine could be on another show like Arrow or Legends of Tomorrow. Put him in that, or maybe have like a little mini series or something with Constantine in hell or something. Work it around a little bit. I think that would be great. But but anyway, guys, that was all the positives I had, and there was a lot more positives than there was negatives. But the negatives I have in this episode, unfortunately, were all Felicity, pretty much. Felicity being overly dramatic the entire time about, what is going on with, you know, Oliver's son and that Oliver would lie to her. I think she said the exact same thing to him on the crossover episode when she found out originally and broke up with him. And then Barry the Flash went back in time, changed it around, and now she's saying I think the exact same thing, and she broke up with him again. I'm like, I really don't see what the problem is. I mean, I think she was saying maybe you've lied to me way too many times, but I mean, she should know who Oliver is and that his intentions were good. And I honestly think she was being overly dramatic and just taking it way too far. And then she breaks up with him at the end. I'm like, really? You're going to break up after all that? Really? Even though, all the stuff that you've been through with him, I mean, he literally turned on you and went to the League of Assassins and betrayed all of you. And Diggle was mad all last season, like half the season anyway, and couldn't forgive Oliver for kidnapping Lila. And Felicity forgave that, but she can't forgive this, that he has a son and he kept it from her. I'm like, what's the problem? I mean, I honestly don't see what the problem is. I mean, it seems like she's either hot or cold. I mean, she's on and she's off, and it's like I don't really see what the big deal was. I think she was just taking it way too far, and now she's broke up with him, and then she gets up and she walks, and I'm like, and then she just walks out the door, and I'm like, that's it? You're just gonna get up and walk out the door, and that's it? she's either with him or she's not. I mean, I just don't see. I mean, she's supposed to be marrying him, and then he does one thing, and it's just like goodbye. So whatever. So that was a negative. The flashbacks for me was not a negative, but I thought they were okay. They were maybe a nitpick negative because they didn't really do much again. I mean, they just showed that Conklin guy and he was like a zombie or something, and then they show Oliver go into this hole, look around. They're not really doing much. I mean, they progress it so much. I think if you would add up all the scenes together from the beginning of this season to now, I think it runs for like 5 minutes or something. I mean, it's not much there to go on. So the flashbacks were a little lackluster for me again this week, and I really hope that we find out what the heck's going on eventually. But yeah, that was a negative. Not much going on there. This episode was great at some points with Vixen and everything, and the fight scene with Damien Dark and all that. And then the other things it was not, I didn't really care for, was the stuff with Felicity and that whole drama that was going on with her and her, moaning and crying about Oliver's son and how he lied and all this. And I just don't see the big deal. But hey, if there's anything that I may have missed that you guys want to talk about, that you guys liked about the episode, or what you didn't like about the episode, please write in the comments below. But that will do it for me for this week, guys. So I will see you all March 23rd. Take it easy, guys.